Good afternoon, Billy Drury, Glen Higgs, Saturday Wrap. Today we are talking about they're kicking me out of my home. How long do I have left?
Well, Billy, last week, you know, we had our beautiful homes side by side. Now we're cast out of our homes. We're walking around like walkabout in the desert, Billy. We've got nowhere to live. How did this happen? And more so, what if you are a tenant? How much notice will we get?
We're talking about how to end a lease. How much notice do you need to give if you're a tenant? If you're an owner, how much notice do you need to give? There's a lot to talk about, Glenn.
Okay.
Where do we start?
Well, we were owners of our house, but you had the party you had, the soiree last week, which I didn't get invited to, was so big, the council kicked us out of our houses, Billy. What went on?
It was it was a good night, Glenn, but yeah, you did not get an invite because you were hardworking on the grounds today. Should we talk about around the grounds?
What a segue, Billy. Avoiding the subject. Around the grounds today. Everything leasing, Billy. What happened in the leasing world?
I had 3 opens today. It was a little bit quieter, but we've adjusted the price on 2 of our properties, so it was nice to get some good numbers through the door after a couple of weeks of being a bit slower.
Okay. So adjusting the price, what are the other things we can do if we've got a property that isn't moving on the rental market? Because the rental market on the Northern Beach is incredibly healthy. How many properties do you think totally we had to lease?
We had about 25 today.
25. So 25 vacant properties or to become vacant properties out of 1,500 properties.
Yeah.
So if we say 10% is 150, 5% is 75.
You're very quick on the maths.
I not really, Billy. 37.5 is 5%. So 20 is about 2.5%.
Look at that.
2%. 2% vacancy on the Northern Beaches. If you're looking to buy an investment, you live in Sydney or you live in interstate, our vacancy rates are incredibly low, and our property management team's incredibly hard working, like the young Billy here.
That's it. So yeah, 3 opens. Nice to have some numbers through. We also have had an apartment freshly painted on Pittwater Road in DY. So we're going to get some new photos.
Okay.
Put it back up onto realestate.com, and hopefully that'll
get it going.
Get it going.
So Billy's applied the real estate 3 Ps. If something isn't selling or not leasing, we have 3 levers we like to say to pull. We can look at the price. So with the price, you adjusted the price and had more people through.
Dropped it by $20 a week.
And the other property, what were you doing there out of the 3 Ps?
Promotion, changing the photos, fresh paint has now been laid.
So product,
So yeah, changing our promotion, and product is the last one.
Yep.
So they come hand in hand.
Yep. So, you know, if you're out there and you're a landlord and your property isn't leasing, we do work all over Sydney. Billy does work all over Sydney, and our leasing team. We have a leasing team of about 20 people that are working feverishly 7 days a week to get properties leased for our landlord, find properties for our great tenants.
Yep.
Please contact them. Everything sales. Set your sales and talk about sales. Auction. We had an auction. The great Steve, he's informed me it's Buffalo.
It's not Buffalo.
It's not Buffalo. I've been calling him Buffalo for about 8 years, but it's Buffalo. It's a Serbian name. Okay.
So it's not on looks, is it?
No. I thought he was part Cherokee, and they called him Buffalo because when he was born, they looked outside, they saw a big buffalo and thought he looked like that. But that wasn't the case. He had a midweek auction, 2-bedroom unit in Brookvale, sold for $1,225,000.
Great result.
Huge result. It was a big unit. Look, that unit was over 170 square meters.
Yeah.
So a house-like apartment, but cracked the 1.225 mark.
Wow.
And I think Michael Silich and Lisa Novak putting together a private treaty sale of another unit in Brookvale. So Brookvale's become, it's always been popular, but more so now it has a feel of probably an inner city suburb. One could compare it to Camperdown. I think we have 6 microbreweries there. They also are licensed, great restaurants, mixed in with a little bit of industrial, level walk to North Kelco Beach.
Yep.
Beeline transport, Westfield's on your doorstep.
Everything's close by.
Great area.
Yeah.
So back to us in the desert, Billy. We've been evicted from our property.
Yeah.
And we want to know how much time we should have been given.
That's it.
After your party last week when the council and the police came, we were given 24 hours, Billy. I don't know what went on with you kids, but it couldn't have been good. So let's talk about leases. If I'm a tenant and I'm in a fixed lease.
Well, should we talk about what a lease really is for those that don't know?
Billy, why not?
It's a legally binding document between 2 parties. You've got your landlord, you've got your tenant. Both want a result. So you meet in the middle. He wants to rent a property. She wants to, find a property to rent, and they meet in the middle, agree on a number of terms, and that's your lease.
Billy, that is a really great description of a lease. What I like, what you said there, is it's a contract.
Yes.
So often life gets in the way of our tenants and they fall behind with their rent.
Yep.
And we ring them up and we say, look, you need to catch up on your rent. And they think, well, I'll catch up when I move out. You've got 4 weeks bond.
Yep.
But that's not in the contract.
No.
You actually sign a contract that stipulates that you'll pay your rent on time. Some contracts may be 2 weeks in advance. Is that right?
Yeah. And
you'll keep it 2 weeks in advance up to the period you move out. That's the contract. There's also onus on the owner in that contract to keep the property in the condition when you first took it over as well.
That's it.
Okay, so if it's got a working oven when you moved in and it breaks down, that has to be maintained.
Yep.
As well. So there's a maintenance component in there. But yeah, that's a really, really good point. A lease is a contract between the landlord and the tenant, and a lot what's in the lease is legislation. It's the same in every residential lease.
That's it.
Okay, and tenants are really, really well supported. If you ever feel as a tenant you don't understand your lease, or you don't understand what the property manager is asking of you regarding your lease, Department of Fair Trading are more than happy to help.
A really good website is Department of Fair Trading. Explains it really easily. So if you ever have any doubts, have a look online.
Oh, 100%.
There's so much information.
100%. Don't ask your uncle, or you could be like Billy and myself, cast aside, marooned in the desert.
So, but like we say, sometimes life does get in the way, and sometimes you need to break your lease, whether that be the owner or the tenant.
Okay.
So how do you go about that? Well, a formal written notice is given by the party to the others. Like I said, that is given in writing, so it can be put in an email, writing.
Okay.
Now, a vacate date is specified in that letter of the termination notice, and is made clear.
Okay. All right. Well, let's give you some examples. Say I'm a landlord and I want to move back into my property. I've just signed today. I think it's the 22nd of May. I've just signed up the lease today. I find out tomorrow I need to move back into it.
Yep.
Where I was happily living before next to Billy. We can't live there anymore. How much notice? Can I just go there, knock on the door, say to the tenant, hey, mate, I've got to move back in, forget about the lease?
Unfortunately not, Glenn. If
Really?
you've signed...
It's my house, Billy.
I know. Well, you might be moving to the sticks behind us.
Fair enough.
For 6 months. If you've signed a 6-month lease, you must honour that agreement before the end of the lease date, which is what you've agreed on beforehand. You can provide 30 days written notice terminating the tenant on that date.
All right. So if I sign the lease today and then tomorrow I decide I've got to move in there and it's 6 months, I notify them 30 days before.
That's it.
Okay. What about, Billy, say the term has expired.
Yep.
The 6-month term or the 12-month term. Then can I just go knock on the door and get in?
Still
there's
no
lease, mate.
I hope you haven't moved out of your sticks, because you're still there for another 90 days.
90 days.
90 days. Once the official lease term is ended,
wow.
there is no such necessary of a new lease being reissued. It goes on to what we call a month-to-month,
okay,
or a periodic lease.
Okay.
And you can issue a 90-day termination. Moving forward, on that 90 days,
okay,
you can then move back in.
So for landlords out there, they have to be really aware of if they've got plans to move back into the property or take the property back. You have to be really aware of when your lease finishes.
Yeah. Because
one's 30 days.
Yep.
While they're in a fixed term, and then once they're out of the fixed term, it's 90 days. It's a lot longer.
That's it.
Well, okay. This one, I'm sure I'm going to be right. So I've sold the property.
Yep.
Tenants in there, new owner, new ball game. They can just get out. Is that right?
You're still wrong, Glenn. You're still wrong. And we've heard a horror story in the office, actually, where an agent sold a property. The new owners had a dodgy solicitor, didn't look over the contract properly, didn't realize there was a tenant in the property, and the new owner thought he'll just be moving back in as soon as he's bought it. But no, the tenant actually had to stay until the end of their lease.
Okay. So once again, I think what's important there is, even though the owners change, the lease is actually with the property.
Yeah.
It's not with the owners. So if whatever term it is in that lease,
yep,
the tenant can stay there,
yeah,
to the end of their lease.
That's it.
And then, terminating a fixed term applies. What about if there's no term on the lease, Billy, and I sell it?
No term.
So the term's expired. It's a periodic lease.
I believe that would be standard 90 days.
Or 30 days.
30 days?
End of fixed term.
Could be. I'm going off some helping documents here, guys.
So basically, if you have a tenant in your property and the term has expired and they're on a periodic lease, or what we like to call week by week, then we can give them 30 days notice.
30 days.
30 days notice, and they're out. So a lot of sellers, I think, it's opportune if you wait till you're on a periodic lease or a week by week lease.
Yep.
You don't renew the term, and then an owner occupier can buy it. Most settlements are only 42 days.
Yep.
So look at those two numbers. We exchange unconditionally on the property.
Yep.
In 42 days will be settlement. 30 days notice we have to give the tenant.
Yep.
We've got 12 days up our sleeve. Even if the tenant's a little bit late, sometimes, it gets pretty close, but generally it all works out. All these periods too are to give our tenant, some sort of security with their property as well. That knock on the door like Billy and I got last week saying we had to leave our wonderful homes that were side by side. No one wants to go through that. But just as we're reading a little fact sheet here from Department of Fair Trading, because things change all the time.
Things change.
Even the penalty we were discussing, if you're a tenant and you want to break your lease, has changed.
So that has changed. The legislation changed on the 23rd of March of 2020. There is now a percentage calculated based on how much of the lease is left. And that's, that calculates the fee associated with the break. Okay.
So previously, like when I first started real estate, if you signed for a lease, a year, your lease was for a year, and you wanted to move out after 6 months, you had to keep paying rent until the agent found someone to take over your lease.
Wow.
And if it took 6 months, you'd be called for 6 months. Now that rarely happened, and you could do a few things about it. But now there's actually a scale on, you know, when you break the lease and how much you pay. Once again, check out fair trading.
Talk to your agent.
Talk to your agent. Yeah, look.
Communication.
Billy, very, very wise advice from a very, very wise man. Wasn't so wise when you had the party last week and didn't invite me, Billy, but, you know, let's not get bogged down on that. But very, very wise. First point of call before you make any plans, talk to your agent.
Yeah.
And if you feel your agent is uncertain or not clear, talk to another agent, talk to Fair Trading. Don't talk to your uncle. Don't talk to your mum.
Yeah.
Get the source correct, because, you know, there are certain time frames and dates that we all must adhere to when it comes to lease properties.
Yeah.
And everything will work out smoothly.
Yeah.
Talking about smoothly, where's a smooth young operator like yourself going out tonight, Billy?
I'm off to Cremorne.
Oh, Cremorne.
A lovely part of, not so much Northern Beaches, but we're still this side of the bridge.
I think they call that, is that the lower North Shore?
It's a beautiful area.
And what's in Cremorne, Billy?
A friend's house, a very relaxing night, probably a movie. That's it.
Billy, I don't know why you're giggling. Like,
I don't know.
Is there something? Is there something else going on, Billy?
No, I'm just a bit worried about my very long walk from the desert, to be honest.
Oh, well, Billy, make sure you hydrate. Have a nice glass of water.
Yeah, there's not a lot of public transport.
Make sure you take your shoes off when you get there. They'll be covered with red dust.
Yeah.
Not a lot of public transport. Myself, Billy, I think we'll just watch some movies, get up tomorrow. I think the weather's not that good tomorrow. We might go into the inner west, have something to eat, travel around.
Beautiful.
Travel around a little bit. All right.
That's a wrap. Saturday wrap. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your time. Have a good weekend. Anything else to say, Glenn?
No, Billy. And which way is east from here? How are we going to get home?
That way.
Oh, Billy, something your best. Bye-bye.